Hi and welcome back. In this video, we are going to run our app and try it out with Postman. The first thing to do is to open up a terminal and run your project, your app.py. So I'm going to do just that. I'm just bringing up a terminal here in Visual Studio Code, but of course you can bring up a terminal anywhere you want. You can use a terminal that you've been using throughout the rest of the course. That's totally fine. And what I've got here is I've got my virtual environment activated. And in this case, I've named my virtual environment section 11-venv. And, normally you would call your virtual environment just venv. That's the convention in Python. In this case, I've called it section 11-vm just for completeness. But when you're creating your own projects, it would normally have a shorter name. That's fine though. Doesn't really matter. And then we're going to run app.py. Okay. So we're going to run app.py here. You may notice a couple of extra lines get printed out compared to earlier on in the course. It's just Flask changing a little bit. But it's not a problem. And then we're running here on 127.0.1:5000. So let's go ahead and jump into Postman that I've brought up here. And we have our stores REST API collection in Postman. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to register a new user. And just as a reminder, here we are sending in a username and a password, and we're going to pass that in. But of course, we don't have our environment URLs defined, so I'm just going to add one environment here. I think I must have lost it when I was changing a few things around. So that's the URL now defined. We can go ahead and send this again. And of course, it has to be 5,000. My bad. Let's do that. There we have it. User created successfully down here, as you can see. So now we can log in. And remember, Flask JWT, which is what our app is still using, uses this /auth endpoint. So we can send this. And we get invalid credentials because we have the wrong user defined here. Let me just remind me. There we go. User 3 does exist, and we get our access token. And we have a few tests in here that save the access token to the environment. So we can go ahead and see that the access token is saved in the environment up here to the right. So now we have the access token. So we can go ahead and, for example, create a new item. And this item is going to have this price and this store ID. We can go ahead and create that. Notice how now we get more information back from our API because we've updated the item's JSON method. And also, we can go ahead and, I think it's get an item which requires an access token. We can go ahead and send that, and we get the item information back. So that means our access token is all valid. We logged in successfully. Everything is working as it did before. Now we can go ahead and close all of these and create a new endpoint that is going to be URL/user/the user ID, which is 3. We should be able to send this. And as you can see, it says user not found. Of course, the user ID will be 1. Sorry, it's user 3, but the ID of the user is 1. The username is user 3. So there you have it, ID 1. The username is Jose. That's a user I created before, actually. So our new user, user 3, is ID 2. So we have now a way of looking at the users that exist in our database. That can be quite handy when we're testing things out. And also, we can change this to delete, and then we can delete a user like that. Okay. If we go ahead and get an item again, we can see that now we get an invalid JWT because the user no longer exists. So Flask JWT in the background is using the correct identity and so on. And because we've deleted the user, it's no longer working. This is exactly what we would hope would happen. So that's all good. We're going to learn throughout the section of a different way of essentially logging users out or handling when this doesn't happen using Flask JWT extended. So keep your eyes out for that. But that's it. Now we have been able to retrieve and delete users. We are going to just save these endpoints. Save that, and we're going to call it get user. Like that. We're going to save it in here. And we're going to save the delete as well as a new endpoint. There we have it. So now we have get and delete user IDs there in our collection, all saved, which is good. I'm going to share with you a very similar collection to this one as soon as we jump into Flask JWT Extended, just so you have a collection that is up to date and works with the API. I'll share with you a Postman collection you can import directly into your Postman window, and it'll all work fine. So that's it for this video. Just wanted to show you how this works. I'll see you on the next one.